Every so often, a single car rolls out of a British workshop and quietly rewrites the rules of the road. Not through marketing, not through luck, but through an idea so good that much of the rest of the world eventually followed suit. Britain's motor industry has never been the biggest in the world, nor always the most profitable. But time and again, it has been the most inventive. From a small workshop in Surrey to a Coventry factory chasing victory at Le Mans, British engineers kept solving problems the rest of the industry hadn't even realised were problems yet. Today, we're counting down 10 British cars that didn't just sell well or look good, they genuinely changed the way the world drives. Some of these changes happened on a racetrack, others happened quietly in a family driveway. And the car at number 1 didn't just improve driving, it helped make braking dramatically safer for millions of drivers in the decades that followed. Stay with us. Number 10. Austin 7. We begin in 1922 with a car so small it was initially dismissed by rival manufacturers as a toy. The Austin 7 was designed to do something genuinely radical for its era, put ordinary British families behind the wheel of a real four-wheeled car for the first time. Before the 7, car ownership in Britain was still largely a wealthy person's privilege. Herbert Austin gambled the future of his company on a tiny, lightweight design that undercut everything else on the market. The gamble paid off spectacularly. Within a few years, the 7 had become the template that manufacturers across Europe and even in Japan would license and copy. It didn't just start Austin's fortunes, it effectively started mass motoring in Britain. Number 9. Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost. 15 years earlier, a very different kind of British car was already proving a very different kind of point. In 1907, a Rolls-Royce prototype set off on a reliability trial that would become the stuff of automotive legend, covering roughly 15,000 miles between London and Glasgow, with the engine barely stopping. When engineers from the Royal Automobile Club finally inspected the car afterwards, they found almost nothing needing repair. At a time when breaking down was simply expected of any motor car, this level of dependability was almost unbelievable. The trade press coined a phrase that has followed the brand ever since, calling it simply the best car in the world. More than a marketing triumph, the trial changed what ordinary drivers were entitled to expect from a car at all. Reliability, once treated as a happy accident, was suddenly something a manufacturer could be held to. Number 8. Daimler with the Wilson pre-selector gearbox. Gear changing in the early 20th century was a genuinely difficult skill, requiring careful timing and a delicate touch that many drivers, particularly women entering motoring in greater numbers, found needlessly intimidating. British engineer Walter Wilson set out to solve that problem, and Daimler was the company that brought his invention to market. The Wilson pre-selector gearbox allowed a driver to choose their next gear in advance, then simply engage it with a light touch of a pedal. No clutch timing required. It transformed driving from a mechanical wrestling match into something far closer to what we'd recognize today. In doing so, it changed who could realistically drive at all, opening the road to people who had previously found the physical demands of gear changing too intimidating to bother with. While it never became universal itself, it planted the seed that would eventually grow into the fully automatic transmission, a convenience most drivers now take entirely for granted. Number 7. Land Rover. By 1948, Britain faced a very different challenge, rebuilding an economy and a farming industry battered by war, with steel in desperately short supply. The original Land Rover was, in many ways, born out of necessity rather than ambition, designed using surplus aluminium because steel simply wasn't available. Nobody at the Rover Company expected it to become a defining vehicle of the 20th century. But its rugged simplicity, genuine off-road capability, and almost indestructible reputation created an entirely new category of vehicle, one that farmers, armies, and aid organizations across the globe would come to depend on. It changed driving in the most literal sense by proving a vehicle could be driven reliably where no road existed at all, and a great many of today's serious off-road vehicles still trace their basic thinking back to that first, humble aluminium Land Rover. Number 6. Cooper Car Company's mid-engine racers. Motor racing through the 1950s followed one unquestioned rule. The engine sat at the front. A small British constructor from Surbiton, run by Charles and John Cooper, quietly decided to ignore that rule entirely. By placing the engine behind the driver instead, Cooper's cars achieved a balance and agility that front-engined rivals simply couldn't match. In 1959, Jack Brabham drove a Cooper to the Formula One World Championship, becoming the first driver ever to win the title in a mid-engined car. Within just a couple of seasons, every serious competitor on the grid had abandoned the old layout entirely. It's a layout that remains standard in every Formula One car built since, a small British workshop having permanently rewritten the blueprint for the fastest cars on Earth. Number 5. Mini. Few cars have influenced modern motoring quite as thoroughly as the Mini. Designed by Alec Isagonis and launched in 1959, its genius lay less in what it was and more in how it was built. A transverse engine mounted sideways, driving the front wheels, freeing up remarkable interior space from a remarkably small footprint. It sounds like a simple idea today, largely because almost every small car built anywhere in the world since has quietly copied it. At the time, it was genuinely radical engineering, packing 4 seats and real practicality into a car barely 10 feet long. The Mini didn't just become a cultural icon of the 1960s, it became the blueprint that virtually the entire modern small car industry still builds from today. Number 4. Jaguar E-Type. Launched in 1961, the Jaguar E-Type combined aerodynamic styling with genuine performance at a price that undercut its rivals by a considerable margin. Its long, sweeping bonnet wasn't just for show. It housed a straight-six engine capable of genuine 150 miles per hour performance, a figure that stunned contemporary road testers. The car's reputation quickly spread far beyond Britain's shores. It's often said that Enzo Ferrari himself, no small admirer of beautiful machinery, called it the most beautiful car ever made, a claim so widely repeated it's become part of automotive folklore, even if its exact origin has never been definitively pinned down. What's beyond dispute is the E-Type's lasting influence. It proved that genuine performance and genuine beauty didn't have to come with a genuinely enormous price tag. Number 3. Range Rover. By 1970, Land Rover's rugged utility vehicles had proven themselves on farms and battlefields across the globe. But nobody had yet built something that combined that off-road ability with genuine comfort, until the Range Rover arrived and created an entirely new segment almost by accident. Coil spring suspension replaced the old leaf springs, delivering a smoothness previously unheard of in a serious off-roader. Buyers who wanted genuine capability without sacrificing comfort suddenly had somewhere to turn. It would take other manufacturers years to catch up, and decades later, the luxury SUV segment the Range Rover effectively invented has become one of the single most profitable categories in the entire global car industry. Number 2. Rover Jet 1. Unveiled to the public in 1950, the Rover Jet 1 was, quite simply, the world's first car powered entirely by a gas turbine engine, the same fundamental technology used in jet aircraft. Built using the chassis of a Rover saloon with its roof removed, it represented genuine, world-first British engineering ambition. In 1952, an uprated version reached over 150 miles per hour on a Belgian motorway, setting a world speed record for gas turbine-powered cars. The technology never became practical for everyday driving. Its fuel consumption and sluggish throttle response ultimately proved impossible to overcome. And unlike most of the cars on this list, the Jet 1 never changed how ordinary people actually drove day to day. Its real significance lies elsewhere. in the sheer willingness to question what a car's engine even had to be. A kind of fearless, forward-looking engineering ambition that pushed the wider industry to keep experimenting. Rover was awarded the prestigious Jaguar Trophy for the achievement, the first time it had been given out in over 20 years. Number 1. Jaguar C-Type. And here it is, the car that changed something every single driver relies on every single day, whether they realize it or not, how a car actually stops. In 1953, a Jaguar C-Type arrived at Le Mans, fitted with something almost nobody had seen on a racing car before: disc brakes. Developed with tyre manufacturer Dunlop, the new brakes resisted the fade that plagued traditional drum brakes under the brutal, sustained braking of a 24-hour endurance race. Drivers Tony Rolt and Duncan Hamilton drove their disc-braked C-Type to outright victory, setting an average speed that no car had ever managed at Le Mans before. Rival teams watched, took notice, and within just a few years, disc brakes had begun their steady march from racetrack to road car. Today, disc brakes are so completely standard that most drivers never give them a second thought. That 1953 victory helped bring disc brakes into mainstream motorsport, and in the years that followed, paved the way for their wider adoption on ordinary road cars too. It's hard to think of a more quietly significant piece of British engineering, one small Coventry racing team helping to change how safely cars would one day be able to stop for racers and everyday drivers alike. Looking back across these 10 cars, a clear thread runs through British motoring history. A willingness to ask an uncomfortable question: why does it have to be done this way? And then quietly go and prove there was a better one. Some of these ideas came from wartime necessity. Others came from a racetrack or a designer's stubborn refusal to accept the conventional layout. None of these engineers set out simply to be remembered. They were solving real problems for real drivers, often working with limited budgets and even more limited materials. And yet, decades later, we're still driving the results of their thinking every single day, in cars built on the other side of the world, by companies that never existed in Britain at all. If any of these innovations surprised you, or if you've ever owned one of these genuinely groundbreaking machines, let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this look at the British ideas that quietly changed driving forever, like this video and subscribe. We'll be bringing you more stories from the roads of Britain's past very soon.